Well, my editing skills are crap, but can the same thing be said about Tales from the Loop, episodes 1 and 2 on Amazon Prime? Stick around and find out. I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. This is my uncut review of Tales from the Loop, episodes 1 and 2, anyway, on Amazon Prime. The synopsis on IMDb reads, "The townspeople who live above the Loop, a machine built to unlock and explore the mysteries of the universe, experience things previously consigned to the realm of science fiction." Now, this show has, I want to say like maybe 8 episodes in the first season. How many we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 8 episodes in the first season. And it's kind of an anthology show, but it's about the same town, the same small town that is built around this thing called the Loop, and the big business in the town involves studying this Loop, doing things with this Loop. It's kind of like, if there was a mining town, except instead of a mine being the big thing that everybody works at, it's the Loop. And there actually is a quarry that some people work at too, evidently, but the Loop is the main thing. Everybody knows about it. There are weird happenings in this town that people just kind of accept, or at least they don't freak out about, like robots that may or may not be sentient or have personalities of some kind, or floating rocks, weird things. I don't know. Actually, that whole thing about the robot suddenly made me wonder if these episodes are in chronological order or not. Sometimes I even wondered that about the stories themselves. This is a very stylized kind of show. It's a very particular style of filmmaking. I would describe it as sci-fi mystery drama in terms of what the genre is. And it's the kind of filmmaking and editing that really lets shots breathe for a long time. I would say there were lots of shots that were 1/1000, 2/1000, 3/1000, 4/1000, 5/1000 seconds longer than I needed them to be, easily. So it felt very slow to me. And on top of that, there's it's very sparse in terms of dialogue. I mean, there are dialogue scenes, but compared to most any other TV series or movie that you watch, there's a lot of silence. And so those kinds of movies really lean on the style of, the visuals, what they're showing you, not necessarily in terms of visual effects, but they'll lean on the composition of a shot, they'll lean on the actors' performances, they'll lean on these visual storytelling and mood-setting elements. And that's really where I felt this movie was not working for me. Let's see, first off, there's no understanding of, or very little understanding of, what is the status quo in this world and why people feel the way they feel about this world. There's bizarre things that will happen and you're just like, is that normal? Okay, I guess that's normal. People aren't weirding out. So what's the deal with that? That question was coming to my mind a lot. What's the deal with that? And it seems like it's going to be a series that reveals over time what the Loop is, what it's capable of, what kinds of bizarre effects can happen as a result of that. It's going to be revealing a lot of what the crap is going on over the course of an 8-episode season, maybe longer. I imagine they want it to go for multiple seasons. And for me, without having those answers up front, I'm wondering many times why the characters are reacting or are not reacting the way that they are. And for a story like this that is seemingly meant to lean on the character drama, if I don't understand the characters and why they're reacting the way they are, I can't empathize with them. I need to at least have some kind of frame of reference for what is normal to them, and why they are not reacting the way that I think that they should be. Otherwise, I just kind of disconnect from what's going on, and it becomes more of a conceptual sci-fi drama. Now, certainly that can work. There are lots of sci-fi, especially anthology shows, that tend to be more about the concepts than about the drama or the story, But I didn't feel like this was written in a way that was I want to say off the beaten path enough. There's a reveal in the first episode that comes about halfway through, actually a little more than halfway through, that I just saw coming, and I think that's probably because I've been reading and watching and listening to all kinds of sci-fi stories, all my life, and so at this point I've just seen enough and been exposed to enough sci-fi concept that I'm like, oh well, this is probably what's going on, and then that big reveal happens, and that's what's going on. Lo and behold, but I didn't feel the tension. I didn't feel like what is this? What I did? I wasn't spending that first 30 minutes of the episode piecing it together. I had it pieced together. I was waiting for them to reveal it so that we could get on with the ramifications of what that reveal was going to bring. The second episode explored a concept. It didn't have a reveal halfway through in the same way that the first one did, but it explored a concept that I've seen before. In fact, I'll just tell you what it is. It's a body swapping concept where two characters swap bodies, and we've seen that in so many sci-fi and fantasy TV shows and movies and stuff over the years. So it's not a novel concept, and they didn't really explore it, I think, in a really fresh way, but rather in a very predictable way that you would expect from exactly that kind of story. It's very grass is always greener on the other side of the street, or the other side of the fence, sorry. And so they're exploring the grass is always greener thing, So I felt like the concepts were too standard for me to enjoy this as a concept sci-fi story that would introduce these weird ideas that I'd never thought about before, And it also, as a drama, fell too far short for me to really appreciate it on that level as like a character drama. The second episode, I will say, does end with a daring status quo change. And we're going to see that status quo change, I would think, play out unless the timeline of all the episodes is landing right on top of each other, which I suppose is a possibility. I've only watched the first 2 episodes. I kind of hope that it's in chronological order so that we can see the major status quo change at the end of this episode carry on through the rest of the season. I think that would do something very interesting for me. This is sort of an anthology show, though, so even if they do go in chronological order, I don't know if I should expect that they're going to deal with the ramifications of the big status quo change at the end of episode 2. But I do think that this show intends for all the episodes to be watched, and to be watched in order, as they kind of build on each other. And even if they are all compacted in a very short period of time and overlapping a lot, it does seem, just with the first 2 episodes, to be designed in a way that it's going to flesh out all these different characters. For example, the main character in the first one is in the same family, is like a family member, in the same immediate family, I should say, as the character who's focused on in the second one. But then there are also peripheral characters. There's a second family, and there's a love interest and stuff. And just scanning ahead at the future episodes, I'm like, oh, it looks like they're going to focus on this love interest, and it will be her story next time. And she was just a supporting character in this second episode. So I think the way they're going to be focusing on characters and throughout the season, that definitely is novel. I just don't know if it's going to really be rewarding to me, over the course of a season to see these some big characters step aside and other side characters step into the spotlight and stuff. I don't know. It's a novel concept, but it definitely doesn't have me hooked at this point. And also, that I have to mention, the first 2 episodes are dealing with young characters. I want to talk about the cast and the performances. The first 2 episodes lean heavily on young actors. The first one leans on child actors for more than half. I want to say 75% of the episode. And the second episode leans heavily on teens and teen actors. And they all do a fine job, but because of the filming style and how long shots would linger on them, I just wanted something more interesting in their performances, something that was more layered, and I don't know, it just didn't seem to be enough there to justify the long shots, the long takes, So it really failed to hold my interest in that regard because of a combination of the editing and the performances. The supporting adult cast has some real potential. I mean, these are faces that I really recognize, and I've seen do some great stuff, and I'm like, oh man, if we focus on them, I think there's a lot of potential for this to really scratch my itches for a character drama and characters I'm interested in and want to invest in, But they just don't spend enough time on those cast members in the first 2 episodes to really, I think, reap the benefits, of their experience. As far as the stunts and visuals go, it's not a stunty show. There are plenty of visual effects, and to my eye, they look pretty good. I mean, there were even some times where I was wondering if it was a practical effect or a digital effect, particularly when it comes to some robot effects, to a prosthetic arm in 1 or 2 scenes. One scene I was like, oh, that's definitely a digital prosthetic arm, but then there was another scene where I was like, I think that's practical. That looks practical, but maybe I was wrong, and so I think the use of both practical and digital is very welcome, and I appreciate the production value on that level. The setting is also interesting. Visually, I was trying to tie it down. I think it's supposed to be in the 80s, but the technology of the town doesn't always match up with that. It seems a little more advanced at some times, and then also I'll see some styles that seem a little older than the 80s, and so maybe they're going for kind of a timeless retro vibe, and I do actually like the vibe and the setting, that have the costumes and the homes and what they all look like. They're not fully leaning into the 80s like, say, the Stranger Things or the Stranger Things Netflix show, but there is something about it that has kind of like a nostalgic kind of vibe to it, and much more earthy and grounded somehow, and it just feels like home a bit, maybe, to people of my generation. And so, I like that aspect of it. Now, as far as themes, I do think this is probably a series that's going to be playing with a central theme in each episode. The first episode, I would say, is about not making the same mistakes that your parents make, reflecting on the things that your parents might have chosen or chosen for you as you grew up that really had a negative effect on you, and not wanting to make those same choices with your own kids, So I think that's kind of a major theme of the first episode, and a worthwhile one. That's something that I'm always considering. Do I want to do this the same way that my parents did, or did I think, I think my parents dropped the ball here, so I don't want to do that? But then there's the danger of overcorrecting in my mind, and so there's I think parents will appreciate probably that first episode more than some other viewers will. Second episode, as I said earlier, is about the grass is always greener concept, and it's such a used concept, a worn out concept, that I don't think they're saying anything new in the second episode that is going to be all that striking. I think there's maybe a cautionary element but I think that, all the body swapping stories are about that. They're like, well, you might think life would be better if you were that other person, but guess what? It won't be. Well, all that you think it's cracked up to be, So I think that for sci-fi fans like me that have seen that plot concept used over and over and over again, it's probably going to go in one ear and out the other, and not to really trigger any new worthwhile thought. Let's see here. So I have no idea what your tastes are in TV shows, but if I were a time traveler, I'd go back in time and say, Peter, skip this one. At most, maybe put it on while you're playing a video game or something, or doing laundry, or I don't know what. But even then, it uses a lot of visual storytelling, and so you're not necessarily going to be able to have it on and not be watching it the whole time if you want to follow the story, So maybe give that other Amazon sci-fi anthology series, I think it's called Electric Dreams or Electric Sheep or whatever the crap, based on Philip K. Dick stuff. Give that series another shot. You liked kind of one episode of that, so give it another go. This one does not have an MPAA rating. I would describe it as probably PG-13, just in terms of like themes and stuff. There is in the second episode, some hand drawn by a teenage boy, some pictures of naked women, but that's pretty brief. So it has a PG-13ish kind of vibe, but in most moments I would describe it as a PG experience. Right now I'd like to take some time to write a tune for pre-made rhyme. The lyrics kind of never change, but the melody gets rearranged. I never know what I'll create to say how much I appreciate. Brian Franklin, Drew Robb, Gabriel Stinson, J.D. Myers, Colin Wright, Lee Bray, Olin T. Branham, Stefan Kramick, and Winston Crutchfield. Thank you for supporting me and SBB and CGC. And now to all who hear this tune, thank you as well. Please come back soon. Want to hear your name in song. Check out our page on Patreon. All right. Those are my thoughts. I'd love to get yours in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe. Click that bell to stay connected. Share this content with others. Anything you want to do in that regard, I'd really be grateful for. I want to say thank you to the Spirit Blade Insiders for all their support. You can get more info about the benefits of becoming one at patreon.com/spiritbladeproductions. Then, I hope you'll join us soon over at christiangeekcentral.com as we continue to geek out and seek the truth.
christiangeekcentral.com